G'day, friends and fans. Welcome to Writing Quarter 43, Faction Building Part 2, Goals and Motivations. Now, if you're building factions and watching my series on world building, you know, after world building comes populations, and those populations and groups within them all come under the heading of factions. This expands on the basic population building you would have done back when you designed your world. Now, when it comes to building a faction, of course, you start with the name and, you make a few outlines, stuff that binds them together, symbolism, and so forth, all the basics. Now, of course, you move on to goals and motivations. Now, factions need a specific goal. This was what sets them apart from the population. Why have a faction? What is their goal? Let's take the Jacobins, the alliance of Freemasons, lawyers, Jews, Africans, and let's call them artists. Though they were made up of unions, actors, producers, directors, writers, prostitutes, and criminals. It was coming to an end of the era of pirates. Pirates were looking for a safe home, a safe harbor, and corrupt politicians to protect. So the Jacobins undermined the French king. No matter what he did, they kept bankrupting the country because they knew, right? The biggest problem in France was after the wars they had was that men weren't returning to the farm, so there was less and less food. And eventually, a couple of bad harvests in a row, they blamed on the king, and of course, overthrew the monarchy through subversion of the people, through constant spreading of lies and misinformation. So you have a goal and means and methods and opportunity. So with goals and motivations, you come down to what is the faction? What is the mission of the faction? What is it they want to achieve? What is it in the world they seek to change? What is this? What are their driving ambitions? What is their motivation? Is it? And now there's only three motivations, by the way: gold, glory, God. Full stop. Ignore all the rest. Gold, glory, God. Or you say power, money, faith, or titles, or empowerment, or wealth, fame, fame, or religion, however you want to go for it. The three G's: gold, money, gold, or what wins every time. Now, this is the hard part. When do their motivations, are they societal or self-beneficial? Of course, the majority of factions are going to be selfish, but you'll actually do have organizations that started off with the public good, like the Brothers of Luke, you have the Society of St. Paul, you have the Jesuits who started the schooling system, mass education. A lot of them had very good social benefit. A lot of them were motivated by faith and social benefit. So don't believe the hype that there are no good NGOs, but the vast majority, even I believe, are corrupt. Okay, the last part you got to think about, and this is the most important: where do they fit into your story? Protagonist, antagonist, background, opposing faction, subversives. Where do they fit into your story? This is the most important part when designing your faction. Do they belong? And where they belong? Because if you can't answer the most fundamental question, why the fuck is there an take me, I'll answer my own question too. Okay, I've got the army. why do we need an army? We don't go to war. Well, we have peacekeeping missions, so okay, but we have a problem of piracy, etc. So, but the army is not equipped. It's not. It's not. We don't. If we a big standing army is a problem when we don't have wars. So we have the Imperial Guard. Serve and protect main institutions because we're not a military force, but we also need a defensive posture. So we train a defensive operation with a small offense. So we have the army's broken into factions, whereas the Guard are the faction that do the protecting, but then you have the faction that protects the Emperor. That's the Imperial Knights, which then, of course, that falls down to then you have different. You have the government healthcare, so you have the medical bureau, which also has to take care of the all the security forces. So it itself is a government agency, and so you actually fit a faction in. You actually say, why do we need an Imperial Guard when we have an army? Well, that's what they do. They guard they guard. They're bodyguards. They're for the nobility. They're guards for the treasury. They're guards for the various government buildings. We need a lot of guards. They're actually a quasi-military, but they're a security force, but they're an auxiliary force to the army as well. Why don't we just have the army do it? Because that would mean we have a huge offensive force, and that would destabilize our relationship with our neighbors, who are also our allies, who are also our vassal states, and it would split the empire in half. So you have peacekeepers for when there's trouble in the vassal states, but you don't have a massive all-conquering force. And when you do send in the military, well, you eventually send in the military guards to protect. So it's a very balanced faction. Let's take the Chosen, a faction very little known about. Well, where they fit into the story? Well, they're one of the antagonists, and they actually have what are their goals and motivations? Well, actually, they're motivated by gold, glory, and God. Not a God, but the concept of God, where they are chosen by a God because the God does not stop them. They're motivated by sophistry, their greed, delusion of grandeur, and what in the world do they seek to change? Everything to revolve around them. And what's the mission of the faction? To subvert, to destroy, to enrich, to empower, to corrupt. They are like the devil, and that is basically it. So where they fit in the story, they are evil incarnate who have survived because of the peculiar power they've been able to acquire and develop, which enables them to basically hide their presence from psychics, magicians, and everything else. So that gives you some idea of how to design, build, and outline the goals and motivations of your faction. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Don't forget, YouTubers, hit that notification bell to never miss a thing. Now, of course, one way to support the channel is to buy coffee mugs and other fine items in my Etsy store. Links in the description below. The 10% off to viewers. Discount code in the links description below. Another way to support the channel is to become a patron. Links in the description. The book links are in the description below. They're in my link tree. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.